are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 626. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
I am good, Jay. You sound as you are always smooth at this. You're as smooth as RJ's three-point shot looks right now.
My goodness. So he's at 50% for the season, 20 for 40.
Are these numbers good? 22.6 points a game, three and a half rebounds, 3 assists, 49% from field goal percentage, 50% from three, 85% from the line, and 62% true shooting percentage. Are those good numbers?
He is trying his best to make us do an apology episode.
You'll have to apologize, Jay. I've never been down on him.
Yeah. I don't expect him to shoot 50% for the season, but even if it goes down to like 40, it's really good.
You don't expect him to shoot 50% from three for the season? That seems like well, come on, Jay. How do you not expect him? Come on. The minimum he could do is shoot 50% from three. Set the NBA record from three.
9 games in, shooting 50% is really good. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty solid.
It's at the point where I'm like, RJ, shoot the three. Like,
I mean,
last season we're like, do not take any threes at all.
He looks at some point he looked really lost from three. When he shoots the three, it just looks smooth.
Yeah.
It's mostly catch and shoot threes, and they're great. They look like they come out of his, like, it looks like he has perfect form. Like,
He worked on his form. I think he made a tweak to it in the offseason or whatever he did. Whoever was shooting who taught him how to alter his shot should work on Randle next.
You know, RJ, if you make this one tweak, all the threes will go in. Why have you been keeping this a secret?
Right.
Well, Randle so last show the Knicks were 2-4. We only do a weekly show, not like every. Some podcasts do more often. They put more effort in. We don't put as much effort in. But last show, we were kind of at the point of like Randle looked horrific. The Knicks were not spiraling, but it was a bad start to the season. RJ was playing well, but like overall, we were worried. And I think I said at the end of last show, I think I said something along the lines of, hopefully by next show, we will no longer be talking about Julius's struggles, and everything will have moved on. We'll move on to much brighter. Everything will look much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I should hope by next show I've won the lottery, because I'm going to make predictions that work out.
I mean, we knew Randle wasn't going to be this bad, and it came out that he was hurt to start the season. His ankle was bothering him, and he played through it. The team tried to get him to sit, and he refused.
Yeah, so should he have? So you could argue that his performance in those early games probably cost the Knicks like 1 or 2 games. Should he have sat? We also don't know how aggressively do you think they really argued? I mean, obviously they have the veto power.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it was more of like, hey, maybe you should sit. I think I think I can play, and they're like, okay. Like I'm sure they didn't really fight him over this.
Right. But
I mean, you never know how injured a guy is. He says he can play. Do you think Randle should have sat?
I think he should have sat maybe the first 2 games. He didn't have it. But on the other hand, if he didn't play through those, would he have then gone through that starting in game 3?
Yeah,
right.
You don't really know.
Yeah.
I also, so many guys do this load management garbage. So many guys, no one seems to play the whole season. Randle, he rarely misses a game unless he's really injured.
Mm-hmm.
He puts effort in you could argue about his effort sometimes, but generally speaking, he is there every night. No matter how battered he is, he's ready to play.
So
you gotta respect that.
Ihart played every game last season. He was one of 10 players in the entire NBA to do that.
It's become pathetic. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. What do you think about the fact that no one seems to play the full season anymore?
It's kind of crazy because, like, I don't know. It used to be kind of normal. Like, Stockton played every game, like, what, 12 straight seasons or something? Like, now
You
it's
think there
like,
should be
rare.
a minimum number of games, and I don't have a whole separate conversation about this, but a minimum number of games to be MVP or All NBA?
Well, they changed that. You have to play 66.
66 for MVP or All NBA?
A bunch of things.
Oh, okay. I think I knew that.
I think
actually.
even
Yeah,
All Star is they have a threshold now.
I feel like that was needed, and I feel like the minimum should be really 70.
Mm-hmm.
Even 66 sounds kind of low to me.
It does, but it's a start.
It's a start, yeah, that's fine. But anyway, I have to say, Randle thought he was well enough to play. He obviously probably wasn't quite well enough to play, but I appreciate the fact that he wanted to be out there, and it's not like he was hot, not like he was. We didn't know he was still feeling the injury, so it couldn't have been that. I understand the fact that he wanted to play through it.
I think we knew he was playing through injury. We
Yeah.
said it for the first couple episodes.
But the hate for Randle always is louder than like the facts on the ground. You're like, hey, he's injured. Well, was he injured 4 years ago in the playoffs against the Hawks? And you're like, can we just talk about right now?
Right.
Like,
like-
the quote from Randall also was, I told you guys from the beginning, it was a process. I had surgery 4.5 months ago, and it's a lower extremity injury, surgery. So to think that I would come into the season and just be Julius off the bat is kind of naive. I knew from the beginning it was going to be a process. It's a gradual buildup. I'm starting to get better, but it's a gradual buildup.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right that he probably was going to look rusty when he first got out there. And whether it was game 1 of the season or game 5 of the season after resting, he was probably going to look rusty at first.
Yeah.
So
the Knicks were 4-4 after 8 games, which was the hardest schedule in the NBA at the time.
Yeah.
And the refs arguably took 2 of those games. The Knicks could have been.
We'll make that argument, yeah.
The Knicks could have been 6-2 with Randle playing like that. That's got to make you feel good about the team.
And now they're 5-4.
Now they're 5-4, and the schedule is in a bit of an easier part of it now. So they could go on a streak. I mean, they have 3 in a row. They could bring this to 6-7.
Yeah, I mean, well, since last show, they have the Celtics tomorrow night, which is tough. But since last show, they beat the Clippers, which I thought was more impressive than it is, I guess. After Clippers have lost to everyone else, also.
They lost to the 1-8 Grizzlies today.
Holy the James Harden experiment's going brilliantly.
So for those who are not keeping track, the Sixers since the Harden trade are 6-0, and the Clippers are 0-5.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious. That really is hilarious.
I love it so much.
Anyway, the Clippers, the Knicks spoiled James Harden's debut, which was great. Then they played Wembyamba, and I am sure Wembyamba will be really awesome one day, but it is nice to see a player that's going to be awesome who was completely shut down by the Knicks. Like he was, I think he got 14 points, and those 14 points, you were like, that's a stretch, because those were like, you know what?
He didn't score until 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah, the game was kind of already over by the time he even started scoring. He also got 2 and 1s where if you watch the replay, no one touched him. It's like the NBA is like, he's got to be a star. Just give him some and 1s.
The NBA does that. I mean, they almost stole the game from Memphis today against the Clippers too.
Oh, what happened there?
So it's near the very, very end of the game, and Harden airballs a 3. And Maxey, was it? Who was it?
Not Maxey.
No, it wasn't. No. So anyway, I forget who it was on the Clippers. He gets the rebound and he gets fouled, and they called an out of bounds on Memphis, and so they challenged because it was a foul, and that's why it went out of bounds. And they said, but it did go out of bounds on the Grizzlies player, so the call stands. Why they couldn't call a foul on the challenge, I don't understand the challenge rules, I guess. But
I don't understand the challenge or the replay.
They said the challenge was strictly who it went out of bounds on, and so it went out of bounds on the Grizzlies, even though it was because of a foul. It was weird.
Some of these rules defy logic.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Knicks today beat the crap out of the Hornets. The Hornets, well, LaMelo Ball looks awesome. The Hornets look terrible.
So Mark Williams had 23 rebounds last game. Today he did not.
He looked a little overmatched today.
So is this a Mitch effect? Because Wembanyama and Mark Williams both looked very feeble against the Knicks.
Wemby had like 29 points the next game against the Nets. He seemed to have no, it was at the Pacers maybe. He looked against Obi, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Wembyama looked awesome when he was not playing Hart and Mitch.
Right.
Hart and Mitch seemed to shut him down.
And Mark Williams had 21 and 24 the game before, and then he had 10 and 4 against the Knicks.
I mean, he looked completely overmatched against Mitch. Mitch is having an insane season. There's so many Knicks that are not so many, but RJ and Mitch in particular are having amazing starts to their season.
And IQ.
IQ's doing great also. Brunson's playing Brunson. Randle the last 3 games has been Randle.
Yeah.
He's been totally whatever, like we were like, what the hell's wrong with Randle? The last 3 games have been totally Randle being Randle. He's been playing well, no issues whatsoever.
No, Randle shot 50% today.
Yeah, he's been playing. His defense has been pretty good. He's been hustling. He's been getting rebounds. He's been getting assists. Everything. Let's go briefly through the games just to talk about anything you want to add to the game. So the Clippers game was about a week ago. It was nice to see the Knicks beat the crap out of Harden. Those Clippers, they have a nice starting lineup in theory. I don't like their bench, and I don't know. I don't know I don't think this Clipper team is going anywhere.
It's just weird because they didn't need Harden positionally. And so they gave up all their big men. And so now they just have a team of shooting guards and small forwards. And it's a weird roster now.
I mean, Mason Plumlee got injured during the game. And it seems like it's going to really hurt them not having Mason Plumlee, which is a weird position to be in after you just traded for a Harden. Like, you can't be like, oh, we got these 4 amazing players, and Mason Plumlee being injured is going to really sink our season.
Right. It's like we have 4 Hall of Famers, but we didn't make the play-in game because Mason Plumlee got injured.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is going to be a funny team, especially when Kawhi's like, I know we're not winning now, but I need my days off. Paul George is like, I'm gonna get injured for a couple of months now. Do you guys mind? This team might not go to the playoffs.
They might not because the West is so competitive, and you get off to this slow of a start, it might be hard to just make up ground.
Yeah. But anyway, in that game, Randle was the reemergence with Randle. He looked great. Barrett had an awesome game. Yeah, there's not much more. It was a close game through 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter, the Knicks just took off, basically.
They went ahead by, I think 16 or 18 in the 3rd, and then they let them come back to within 10. I mean, LaMelo was just incredible.
No, I meant today's game. I meant the Clippers game.
Oh, Clippers game. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Clippers game is close to 3. No, the Knicks just beat the crap out of the Hornets and the Spurs. Yeah.
Yeah, Clippers. Paul George looked really bad.
No one looked really great on. I expected more from Kawhi.
Mm-hmm.
We can. Kawhi actually had a fine game, but I expected no one looked dominant. And you'd want, with those 4 them together, someone to look dominant.
Well, you'd think with those 4, 2 of them would go off any game. And so they're doing this with all 4 guys healthy, and we know they have at least 2 injury-prone guys there. So this could get worse before it gets better.
Then going into the Spurs game, so what are your impressions of Victor Wembanyama? This is the most I've seen him play on against other teams, but I have not watched a full game of him yet. This was the first full game of him. Besides preseason games, what do you think?
I feel like he might have got a little intimidated with the MSG crowd.
I think he got a little intimidated by seeing Mitch and iHeart there.
That could also be a possibility.
I think they were just pushing him around.
He's going to be really good.
People were saying the whole MSG thing. I just think he was like, wow, you guys are really strong, and I can't get to anywhere I want on the floor.
That could also be. He's going to be really good, but he's definitely not there yet. Obviously, he's played 7 total NBA games, but some growing pains for that guy.
Have you? By the way, have I sent? Did I send you? Maybe I didn't send you that video. There's a player, a high school player who's 7'7",
Yeah, I saw that.
and he looks like when they show the highlights, it looks like he's playing against little kids. It's so absurd. Is it eventually going to be all the players are going to be like 7'5" or taller?
I mean, yeah, he's dominating, but like he's just doing bunny dunks right under the net because they can't like box him out. Like I haven't seen an actual move from that guy. Like he could be absolute trash.
But it's just so. I mean, he actually the guy. What is his name? His name is Do you remember his name? Well, doesn't really matter that much. Uh. Anyway, he actually doesn't look. Oh, Oliver Reoks. He doesn't look as skinny as Wemby. He looks a little more filled out, which is crazy, also.
Yeah, he does look a little more filled out.
I mean, maybe I don't. Who knows what'll happen? It's just crazy how much like how these guys are so tall and athletic at that size. Wemby looks insanely athletic at his size.
Yeah.
And I guess they've said that they're trying to just kind of let him play and see what he's good at before they start really coaching him up. Because they just want to see like what his strengths are. It's just he plays a weird style of basketball where like he tries to do guard like stuff, and you're like, dude, you're just taller than everyone. Get near the basket.
Well, yeah, I was thinking like he takes a lot of outside shots for a guy that tall. You kind of want him on the inside, but then I'm also thinking at that height, it's an unguardable 3-point shot. So if he's like a really good shooter, maybe it is beneficial for him to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there have been clips of him like where you hit him in traffic and like he's just unstoppable. They need to find a way to use him, and I guess like the following game he got 29 points and he played really well. So maybe it's just against.
I think it's the. Mitch
I think
effect.
he's going to have a problem against bigger centers right now, and I guess over time he's going to put on weight and then like challenge these guys.
Maybe that should be our new thing instead of the Nick effect. We'll have the Mitch effect, and we'll show how a center has a season worst game against the Knicks.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Mitch I think he has more offensive rebounds than a couple of teams in the NBA right now.
Yes, he had 50, which I think was fourth in the NBA in actual teams.
He has been so ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, the Spurs
who's
game.
going to take the leap, RJ, Grimes, or IQ, and Mitch was the first one to take the leap. And now RJ and IQ might have also. So this is we were saying if the Knicks are going to get past the second round, we're going to need multiple guys to take a leap, and we were kind of being like, what are the chances of that happening? But now it actually might be happening.
I mean, if you look at this team right now, like just like going through it, Randle, if Bean gets back to Randle, and he's a hell of a player.
He's a 20 and 10
big numbers. He's been two-time All-Star. He's been doing. I also noticed that he's been making a much greater effort to get to the rim, which is awesome.
Also, he's been distributing the ball a lot. He's averaging 4.9 assists per game, which is the most on the team, I believe. And
which is awesome, but also, why isn't Brunson averaging more assists?
Brunson is driving me absolutely up the wall. I bet the under on assists 2 games in a row, and he went over. And then today I bet the over, and he had 1. And I'm like,
how did Brunson have 1? I mean, the Knicks beat they beat the crap out of the Spurs. It got close for a moment, then it was over. And they beat the crap out of the Hornets today also. How did Brunson only have 1 assist in 27 minutes?
Your starting point guard should not have 1 assist. That's my one nitpick on Brunson.
I mean, it's also like, I don't know if I can even complain about that when the Knicks won by over 20 points. So, like, who even cares?
Well, I will say there was a lot of ball movement today. So there was a lot of Brunson would make a pass, and the receiver would make a second pass, and then that person would shoot. So it was almost like a hockey assist.
Yeah. Quickly had 9 assists today. Yeah. Quickly doesn't seem to have an issue getting assists.
9 assists, and he managed to get 17 points on 9 shots.
Yeah. Quickly has been really good as of late.
Yeah.
He's been really good. I don't know what he's shooting from 3. His 3-point percentage is good, but his 2-point percentage has been awesome. He's been great inside the arc.
He's been shooting pretty incredible from 2, yeah.
Yeah, he just goes in. I don't know, he's just taking more stable shot. It seems like he's I felt like in years past, he was a bit of a chucker. He'd be inside, he threw that little push shot, whatever, or he would. I feel like he's kind of really setting himself up much more. He's much more like he has his balance when he shoots the shots now.
He's shooting 32.5% from 3, which would be a career low, but he's shooting 47 from 2, which is by far a career high.
I think what you're looking at also excludes today's game. Wait, what do you say he's shooting?
Shooting 47 from 2 and 32.5 from 3. But you're right, that doesn't include today, and he was 4 for 6 from 3. So
I'm seeing 60% from 3. I'm from 2. I'm sorry, I'm on Basketball Reference. I see 60. It says 60% from 2.
You are correct, and I can't read. I was seeing 47% from everywhere.
Oh yeah, 47% from everywhere, and that's without today's game, which he shot really well, and also
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, so Randle's Randle. Mitch has been a defensive force. Awesome on the offensive boards, really tough to stop. Brunson, outside of the low assist numbers in some of these games, generally his shot is back. He's hits daggers. He's tough to beat. Barrett is suddenly efficient and kind of awesome. Any concerns about Grimes?
No, he's guarding the best player on most nights. He's not a huge part of the offense, but he hits shots. He's doing what he has to do for a fourth or fifth option in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean the one he's playing with 3 high volume guys in the unit, so that makes it tougher to even get your shot.
And I know people are saying he's not doing that much. You should replace him with IQ. I feel like the same thing would just happen to IQ. He's not going to get as many shots, and then you're just going to say the same thing. I think it's good the way it is.
Two things you could do. So RJ always leaves halfway through the first quarter, so you can come in with a second unit.
Mm-hmm.
Why not do the same thing with Hart usually replaces him.
Mm-hmm.
Why not do the same thing with Grimes?
Mm-hmm.
You can have either IQ replace him, or you could have Devo replace him.
That would give a couple more minutes for IQ. Although he played 26 today. I mean, Brunson only played 27. Randle played 27. Mitch played 24. So it's not like IQ played some of them. I thought Tibbs overplays everybody. He grinds them into a pulp.
It seems like when you actually have 9 good players, the minutes just work out and no one seems to play crazy minutes.
It's almost like he overplayed players when there wasn't enough good players on the team.
Right. It was RJ and Randle were averaging 2 of the most minutes in the NBA the year 4 years ago because there was no one else on the roster.
Yeah.
This second unit, by the way, looks goddamn awesome. There are times I'm like, is the second unit almost as good as the first unit?
Their chemistry is great. The ball movement is really nice. And the defense is awesome. I mean, Hart, Dante, IQ, iHeart, they're all playing really good defense too.
This team is great. I love this team.
I'm very happy with this team. Yeah.
I
don't want to overreact after 9 games and they're only 5-4, but I see the potential in this team.
They had 2 really easy games. The Spurs just looked not. It's so. I remember in years past, you'd watch the Knicks play. They play the bad teams, and the Knicks would play around the bad teams level. Sometimes they'd beat them well. It wasn't, but then they play a really good team, and the good team would just outclass them. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the Knicks, the last 2 games have been the good team that are outclassing the bad teams.
Yeah, we were saying that for years when they would play a bad team and they would win, but it would be a grueling win. And now they're just mopping the floor with these guys. And
I mean, you really needed these exhibition wins, basically. These 2, just 2 laughers. And then, the schedule, I guess they play the Celtics, but then they have a couple of easy games after that. They got the Wizards and the Hornets again.
Did you see the interview with Randle afterwards where they asked him about Tibbs playing key players in blowout games late?
What did he say?
He said Tibbs saw McGrady score 13 points in 30 seconds. The guy's been traumatized. He's got to get over it.
I have to say, I know people give him crap for leaving the guys in. He's not wrong though. Leads evaporate really fast in the NBA,
especially now where it's just a 3-point contest. You can put 9 points on the board very, very
real
quick.
fast.
It's like,
I know people are like, if you're up by 20 with 5 minutes to go, you could probably start pulling people. But like people are like, they're up by 14. Why isn't he pulling people? You're like, it's not that big of a lead in the NBA anymore. This is not like a huge it's if you're up by 30, it's one thing. 14 points are like that goes away real fast. That gets uncomfortable real fast.
although I wouldn't, it's not like the Knicks unloading the bench is a bunch of scrubs going out there. I wouldn't mind seeing like Dante and Ihart get a few more minutes in a blowout game.
So I guess when he unloads the bench, that's Fournier is still not playing. Fournier's not touching the floor this season.
No, because he technically unloaded the bench, and it was Sims, McBride, Ryan, and Jeffries.
Right. These are 2 games where he's unloaded the bench. He did the same thing in the Spurs game, and Fournier did not come on the floor. I think Fournier, he's made some comments about being unhappy, and I think Tibbs is like, I'm cool. We're cool. We're done with this.
Well, I also think it's kind of insulting for a vet to be put out with 3 minutes left.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's a fair point also.
I mean, there's a difference. Like, Jeffries, you've hardly played in the NBA. Here's 3 minutes, like, get some reps. Whereas, like, you know, you're 10 years into your career, you set a Knicks record in threes. Here's some scrubby 3 minutes at the end of the game against the Hornets minutes.
What was your reward for saying the Knicks record for most threes? I wasn't allowed to play for the team anymore.
Right. So, I mean, we've been through this.
It's amazing how he...
yeah.
It's hard. Like, Fournier, I feel like, is a useful NBA player still.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he should not be on the Knicks anymore. He should be playing somewhere else.
I feel like he should be playing 20, 25 minutes somewhere.
Yeah, just not for the Knicks. I don't see him fitting in this 9-man rotation. And barring injury, he does not deserve playing time on this team.
Right. But I think he, like in Charlotte could have used him.
Yeah. The thing is, it's a tricky situation because the Knicks don't want to trade him. The Knicks don't want to give him an asset to move his contract.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks, if they're going to do a big trade, they need his contract. My assumption is that once the trade deadline comes and goes, and if he's still a Knick, the Knicks will just buy him out and just say, find another team right now.
It's possible.
Though again, if you have a major injury before the playoffs, will you be happy to have Fournier still on the team?
You need a couple injuries, right? Because if you get an injury in that position, wouldn't you just spread out Dante and Hart and IQ?
Hey, Evan, not to make it things harder for you, but everyone else on the team is a shooting guard, so it's going to be a while before you play.
So do you think the Knicks are going to take their team option for $19 million next year?
I think spoiler alert.
Wouldn't that be weird if they're just like, yeah, we just feel like ruining your life, so we're going to opt in and
It'd
not
be the
play you
weirdest
again.
way for your life to be ruined. They're like, I mean, we are giving you $19 million, but we're telling you can't play basketball anymore. He's like,
And that's literally all you want to do is play basketball.
you're like, I have a lot of money now. I kind of just want to play basketball.
Yeah, exactly. I've made $150 million in my career. All I want to do is play basketball, and they're like, no.
That would be kind of hilarious. So Nick, Jay, just to interrupt the Knicks talk, I have some rule changes. Last week I made some jokes about like changing the court, like the court dimensions or what have you.
Yeah.
I have some ideas to make the NBA better.
Okay.
You want to hear my ideas and give me? And can you? How do you want to judge them? You want to give them a letter grade?
Sure.
Okay. My first idea is to add the timeout veto. So each team will get one veto, which basically means when the team calls timeout, you can go veto, and they have to get back on the court, and there's no timeout.
Do they get to do a sub?
No. You call it timeout veto. There's no break in the action. Get back on the court. And I guess like there has to be at least one full play that happens before you can use another timeout.
I do like that. I think it's
Wouldn't
hilarious.
that be kind of amazing?
I think it's annoying and hilarious. And
it would be so awesome. Like the end of the game. Okay, the Clippers are going to call a timeout to call their last play. Veto. We're not going to call our last play.
Do they lose their timeout, or they just can't call it?
You lose the timeout. Yeah.
Oh, that would be even better.
Yeah. No. We're vetoing your use of a timeout. You can't even and if it's your last timeout, you're like, if you have one timeout left and the other team has a veto, you're like, do we even try to use it?
Right. So basically, you get one less timeout per game, which I love.
Right. The other team could be like, hey, we want them to use them. Our guys are gassed too. We're fine with the timeout, or we're gonna as they're about to they're like, okay, timeout. Okay, guys, veto, and you shout it out like you fake them out. You like pretend you're giving it to them, but you don't.
I like this idea. I'm gonna give it a B+.
Okay. I thought I was gonna get an A there, but okay.
Well, I don't know how good the other ones are, so I don't want to.
That might be my best one, Jay.
Okay.
I'll
go A- then.
Okay. The next one is to do away with the Phantom and One. This is from watching Wemby, and I just feel like if the guy is barely touched and easily scores still, there's no and one. There has to be some real difficulty in terms of scoring.
The RJ in the playoffs rule?
I don't remember the RJ in the playoffs rule. What do you mean?
Boston fouled him, and the NBA the next day was like, it didn't significantly alter the shot, so we don't have to call a foul on that. And you're like, yeah, but you call touch fouls like the first 82 games of the season. Like,
yeah, that's fine. Boston?
I think it was Boston. No.
You mean the Heat? And they still play Boston.
Yeah. Heat. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like there has to be there should be no touch fouls for and ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would just make I just hate the he scores and you're like, was he even touched and he gets to go to the line?
Yeah, no, that's an A.
Yeah, I want a real if he misses the shot and there's a touch foul, fine, you still use the stupid touch fouls, but no one likes these stupid and ones where and then my third idea, my most revolutionary one is the hockey subs in the NBA. Instead of sitting, you've watched hockey before, Jay, right?
Yeah.
There's no stoppage in action. You just run over and the guy comes in.
Yeah.
Let's do that in the NBA. Let's just have hockey subs. You run over, guy comes in, no checking into the game, just no breaking the action. You run once the guy leaves the court, the other guy can come on.
Mm-hmm. And if he comes on before the other guy leaves, it's tech, right?
Yeah, it's a tech. Yeah, they can go no instant replay. Just the guy. They have a guy standing there who'll just watch and he calls it. I also want my extra bonus rule is just have no replays ever again in all our sports. I want a constitutional amendment. I freaking hate replays.
So I'm going to give the hockey lineup change a B. I do like that idea too. Any rule where it speeds up the game and there's less stoppages, I'm pro. I like. It
would also just be kind of fun. Like the guys would come in so much more so much more often. Basically, you make quick changes. Basically, you don't have to wait for a play stoppage anymore.
Right. Like there was a play today where Randle, I don't know what happened, but he has to come out, and then he ended up scoring and getting fouled, so he had to take the free throw, and he wasn't eligible to get subbed out. And it was just like a weird situation. Whereas it'd be also you can have a guy's good on offense, not good on defense. So he plays on offense. He immediately runs to the sideline. The guy on defense tags him and comes in. That would be pretty funny.
I feel like that would be kind of awesome.
Adds more strategy to the game. I like it.
It would give a role for Frank in the NBA.
Frank catching strays. Somebody posted a picture of him saying hi to RJ today. I saw you put a comment on Twitter saying, glad he was able to get tickets to the game.
So Frank is on the Hornets, and if they had Frank today, the Hornets clearly would have won the game. But unfortunate, Frank is injured. The first time in his career he's injured.
Yeah, that never happens.
Yeah. By the way, we did not see much of Brandon Miller today. He was injured pretty early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Brandon Miller from what you saw?
He looked pretty good.
Yeah, he looks pretty athletic. It was hard to tell in only 10 minutes.
No, but he had 11 points and 5 or 6. So, I mean, he was looking good.
LaMelo looked insane.
He did. He looked so good. The only guy that looked like really, really bad on the Hornets was PJ Washington, which he's on my fantasy team, so I wasn't thrilled about that. But the Hornets have a few nice pieces, and I feel like every NBA team has a couple, like even the bad teams have a few guys that are like, wow, those guys are really good. I've never, like in prior years, the really bad teams have like nobody. You're like, holy shit, this is like a G League team. but I feel like every team now has a few nice pieces.
I find it amazing the Hornets. They in the Knox draft they drafted Miles Bridges. They got the pick right. Miles Bridges is awesome, but he also like
Beats everybody.
He also is a legend. Whatever.
I don't even think it's a legend anymore. I think he pled guilty.
Yeah. So he hit his girlfriend, whatever it was. Anyway, so he's supposed to be back sometime soon, but like you nailed that pick. Kind of not worked out since then. You have LaMelo Ball, who looks insane but can't stay healthy usually. You got this guy Brandon. You have so much talent on this roster. You've got it done right in the drafts.
And Mark Williams looks good too.
And Mark Williams, look at how's your team so bad?
I feel like their bench is really bad.
I don't understand. Like LaMelo, I was watching him alone. I'm like, how is LaMelo not getting him to the playoff spot on his own? Like he looks so good.
Yeah.
We have some questions. You want to do some questions, Jay?
Sure.
Okay. It'd be better if I had them pulled up. Okay. Base Nick fan writes, will we regret not extending IQ?
I don't think so. They could still go over the cap for him. And so they just say, go out, get an offer, and we're going to match it.
I would regret losing IQ.
Yeah.
That I would regret. But I'm still convinced, as Jay just said, that they'll sign him. Do you think the Knicks will say, go get an offer, we'll match it, or will they initially make him an offer?
I think they'll probably make him an offer just to goodwill. You know, you don't want to be like, we're not even going to make you an offer. Then he might get offended and walk.
It looks kind of dick to, like, I know that they did that with Jeremy Lee. They were like, just figure out your worth. And you're like, why don't you guys just make me an offer?
Well, also they found out his worth, and then they're like, oh, actually, we don't want to pay that much.
Well, there was the poison pill, and you know what? It worked out fine anyway. He wasn't that amazing on Houston, and the Knicks were better than the following season. But you want to keep IQ, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the only thing the only thing you can really do as a restricted free agent, you sign an offer sheet, the Knicks can match it. There's nothing you can do about that. Or you sign a 1-year deal somewhere and then become a free agent after that.
Yeah.
But, the Knicks make him an offer, a fair offer. If he gets a better offer, match the offer. He's got to be a Knick.
Yeah.
At least the way he's playing right now. Do you think IQ at some point will get frustrated that he is not the lead point guard on the team?
I think it depends how good the Knicks are. Because winning cures a lot of problems. If he's leading the bench, if he's winning 6th Man of the Year awards, he comes in, hits a bunch of shots, dances, and then runs back off the court. Like, he seems happy right now. And
right.
I think if the Knicks get in the high 40s for a win total and he's in the running for 6th Man of the Year, I think he'll be okay.
As long as he's getting 25-plus minutes a game, I think everything will be fine, especially if the Knicks are playing well.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, he's looking at the box score, and he's like, well, I played the same amount of minutes as all the starters.
Right, and it's not like you have some crappy point guard starting above you. Like, I'm sure he would say, like, Brunson's really good, so I appreciate the fact that we're both on this team.
Right, and it's like you could argue, oh, maybe I could take Grimes' spot, and then it's like, well, then I'd have to guard the most difficult player on the other team, so maybe I don't want to do that.
I mean, he's really good on defense. I just feel like it works. I know everyone keeps saying put IQ in the starting lineup, but like what you said about IQ's a good defender also, but like you don't have a lead point guard in the second unit. The way he's doing it right now just makes more sense.
I think IQ is better at creating his own shot, and he's also, I think, a better distributor than Grimes. So I think it makes sense having him lead the bench unit.
I mean, what about the idea of having him come in when like RJ leaves the floor, being the first guy off the bench instead of Hart? Or just what I was saying before about have him just like have Grimes leave after 5 minutes, have him come in with the starters.
Or Brunson. Have RJ and Brunson both sit, and then you have Hart and IQ come in.
You know, the nice thing about this team is the team is so deep. There's so many good options.
There is.
Like, yeah. Like, it's not like everyone's playing really well also. So, like, even I like how DiVincenzo's playing. Like, I like his defense he's added.
Mm-hmm.
I love this 9-man rotation right now. Wyatt writes, Randle playing good, but he still needs to go. Good for him to get going and help the team out by helping us win games and raising its trade value. Does Randle still need to go, Jay?
I can't believe he gives one thumbs down and people hate him forever. It's like,
it's not the thumbs down. It's the Atlanta series.
okay. Yeah, he was bad in the Atlanta series where the Knicks had like no talent surrounding him and they were able to triple team him the whole time and he had a bad series. And
he learned from that. He's been passing better, and he wasn't amazing though in the he wasn't amazing. He was a little better in the Cavs series before getting injured. He was not great in the Heat series, though he was injured.
yeah, he was injured. He needed ankle surgery. Like, can you imagine if the Knicks had a franchise worst record twice under his watch, like the Knicks did under Melo?
Okay. Let's Jay, stop the Melo.
No,
Melo.
I mean, Knicks fans make like Melo is the greatest Knick in the history, and they crap all over Randle when they're actually successful, and I don't understand why they hate Randle so much.
You remember we did this show when Melo was here, and guess what? A lot of Knicks fans hated Melo when he was here.
Well, now he's the greatest Knick of all time, and they should put statues up and rename MSG the Melo Garden. It's like,
maybe 10 years from now, Randle will come to a game. He'll be retired from the NBA, and the fans will be like, "Oh, Julius, we remember him. He was awesome."
maybe. So it's a little annoying now, though. People, I think, yes, he's not a perfect player, but I think people are like extra hard on him. Like, he had a good game today, and I go on Twitter and people are just crapping all over him. And I'm like, he's a good player.
If he plays well in the playoffs, he everyone will start loving him.
Yeah.
He's got to It really comes down to, obviously he's got to have a good season. I mean, the negatives about Randle were obviously in year 1 he did not look amazing. Year 2 he looks awesome, but then looks bad in the playoffs. Year 3 he's bad again.
Mm-hmm.
He also has that, what you said, like resting pouty face.
Yeah.
Year 4 he's awesome, but people are like, "Oh, I've bought into this before. I don't know. I don't believe in Randle anymore." And then like he's not amazing in the playoffs, even with and no one believes the injury for some reason. Even though he had surgery to prove his point.
Right.
But I feel like he's got to unload in the playoffs. That's
right.
what comes down to. He
You're
unloads
right.
in the playoffs, and the doubters shut up. But until then, he'll always have doubters. It just is what it is. You're right. They gave Melo Melo had a longer track record before he came here. That's also a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Melo came to the Knicks as one of the best players in the NBA. Randle came to the Knicks as being a guy that was like disappointing so far.
Shouldn't that be like a better story then?
It's not, apparently.
He won Most Improved and 2 All-NBA teams. I mean, all right. Anyway.
Melo also was good right away. I mean, he put up numbers, like, even though he didn't do anything for us in the playoffs, but
You're right. We can't have this conversation until Randle performs in the playoffs.
he's got to perform in the playoffs. But the whole idea of trading, first of all, regular season, the Knicks do not have another power forward. Unless you tell me a trade that's going to make us better at the power forward position, trade's not happening. So maybe in the offseason, I don't know. Randle has his pluses and minuses. Hopefully he'll deliver come playoff time. Daniel writes, "Do we have the best bench in the league? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen." Okay.
Repeat that?
Oh, do we have the best bench in the league?
I think
Thanks.
so.
I'll hang up and listen.
I think so. We were talking about Lakers bench, and they actually look pretty garbage.
I mean, they have Cam Reddish. So Cam Reddish hit a shot, and everyone's like, "Oh, look how amazing Cam Reddish is. He can hit a basket."
I know. So, yeah, if the Knicks aren't, like, who else would even be in the running?
The Knicks have it's hands down. The Knicks have the best bench in the NBA. The Knicks do not have any superstars. They have some star players and some guys who are looking like stars, and they have a really awesome bench. This team is in for a very good season. Yeah.
Speaking of forward trade, so Brian Windhorst said that he doesn't think the Timberwolves could even get a first-round pick for Towns right now. Whereas a month ago, everyone was talking about the Knicks trading 5 first-rounders and RJ and Mitch and Randle and like this ridiculous package, and now it's like, yeah, you probably couldn't even get a first.
Yeah, the packages they're like Towns. They could not get a first for him, but if the Knicks are involved, the Knicks will throw in the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, it's the Knicks tax. It's weird.
So first, Timberwolves are playing pretty well, so I just don't see them moving Towns. Also, even though he's like he hasn't not been he's definitely not been the best player in that team. But they're probably not making any trades right now.
They're rolling right now, but I think if you told them they could get off of that $60 million a year contract, they might.
They're having a good season, and you have to think Towns will help them. Edwards looks awesome. Gobert's playing well. They've got a good team. I doubt they would move off Towns. Even if they had a chance to move off Towns this season, I doubt they would.
Yeah, I mean,
really,
you don't want to make a huge trade if your team is rolling.
Yeah, like your team is winning. You're not going to trade one of your better players.
Unless you're the Clippers, right?
Well, the Clippers traded for a really good player.
Yeah, they didn't trade one of their better players, but the trade still made no sense.
I on some level, I get it. Just because they were like, we've gone all in to have this Paul George Kawhi thing. It's really not worked out in like 4 years. It's like at some point this is going to be over. Let's make one last run at it. You get desperate when things aren't working out.
I mean, on paper you traded 3 dimes for $1, but
yeah,
it doesn't fit. It's just not a good fit.
No, it doesn't. But like James Harden, like he led the East in assists last year. He can distribute. He's going to be a Hall of Famer probably. It's like on paper, you're like, why wouldn't the guy still is very skilled? Why would you not want to trade for him? I mean, it's not going to work out, but
So Tommy Beer wrote worst systems of all time: 1 TurboGrafx 16, 2 Nintendo Wii U, 3 Sega Dreamcast, 4 James Harden.
I'm not a system player. I am a system. Well, that system has malfunctioned for a lot come playoff time.
That was a good
or
point.
Regular season right now. Anthony writes, after hearing about Julius' first couple of games being less than 100%, how do you guys feel about the last 3 games?
I'm not surprised. This is the way Randle's been playing. I was surprised at how bad he was playing. I'm not surprised when he plays like he's been for the last few years.
Well, I guess are you surprised he's turned it around so fast?
Yes, I thought it'd be a little more gradual. It seemed like this guy shouldn't be playing, and then the very next game, he's back.
Yeah. I mean, at first, I noticed he was getting to the basket more,
Mm-hmm.
which was awesome. And then he was hitting threes, and you're like, okay, he's back. He started today's game off by hitting, I think, what he hit. He got to the basket, and then he hit a 3, and you're like, okay, pretty good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was the only 3 he hit, but he only took 4. So
yeah, overall, he still played pretty well. He played good defense. He had 3 steals today.
He did.
I mean, if Randle can play really good defense, that's a whole nother like element for this team.
Or even just like league average defense.
I mean, he's the weakest link on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he can't play defense, but he doesn't always give maximum effort on defense. If he's giving effort on defense, that makes his team even better. By the way, so last episode, Jay, the Knicks were, what were they, 2nd or 3rd in defense and 28th in offense?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you say? If the Knicks how good can the Knicks be, right? You said the Knicks have to get, what do you say? Like, if they could be a league average in offense, they could be, they're going to be really good?
Yeah.
Where do you think the Knicks rank in offense right now?
They were, 28 last week?
28 last episode.
19?
16.
That's a huge leap for a week.
It's a huge leap for a week. It's also small sample. Things happen fast.
And
where do you...
They're 2nd in defense?
Yes, the Knicks are still 2nd in defense. The only team that is better in defense...
Timberwolves.
Do you know?
Timberwolves.
Yeah, the T-Wolves. Isn't that crazy?
That is. Well, no, because they got Gobert.
They got Vanderbilt. They got a good team, but
Yeah. All right, so schedule.
Wait, got 2 more questions.
Okay.
Gay Eric writes, what are we offering quickly?
Net rating, we're 5th. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, awesome.
What was it?
What are you offering quickly? What contract? What's this contract looking at like right now?
5 years. 5 years, 100.
Sounds good to me. If he gets a better offer, we'll match it. I don't think he's getting a max offer anywhere, but if he plays well enough to get a max offer, we'll match it.
Mm-hmm.
Frank writes, Has RJ really taken the next step in his game? Should I get my hopes up, or should I be prepared to be disappointed?
It looks like it's so far. Small sample size, so I'm not going to say definitively yes, but it looks different this time. Before it looked like a streak. This time it looks, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it looks more real this time.
So his threes, the form looks better. It looks like the shots are going in, but you can get cold from three. One thing that's been also giving me, well, the other thing that's giving me hope beyond his three-point shooting is that he looks so much better around the basket. I've noticed a couple plays where, like, he's just waited by the basket for the play to develop a little more. Like, he fakes, then puts the shot up. He's a lot more patient around the basket. And he's also not just aimlessly driving into traffic.
Yeah. His defense seems better than it was last year, more like it was 2 years ago.
He's been passing the ball. Like, I like his pace. He's getting assists.
Yeah, he doubled Brunson's assists today.
I mean, we're getting to the point where people are like, how many All-Stars will the Knicks get?
Yeah.
Not like, I mean, we're only 9 games in, but they currently have a few candidates to make the All-Star team.
Absolutely.
Nick writes, should the Mets hire Scott Perry to help fix their lineup? I love the Mets. They're going to be better next year.
You say that every year.
I say that every year, and some years I'm correct, some years I'm not. But they're going to get better. Paul writes, should Mark thought Mark might like this, and it looks like it is either a picture of it's a Mets candle, I believe. It is I like anything that has the Mets on it, so I appreciate it. Love the Mets, love the Knicks. Yeah. What's the schedule looking like, Jay?
So before that, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/NYKnicksPodcast. We are, if you want to email us, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. We are nyknickspodcast@gmail. I said that already. nyknickspodcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and at nyknickspodcast on YouTube. And,
yes.
For upcoming schedule, the Knicks have their third and fourth back-to-back of the season. How they have 4 back-to-backs in the first 4 weeks is kind of crazy to me. But
I noticed the Knicks had like a month off between the Spurs game and the Hornets game, and now they have like back-to-back and back-to-back again.
Yeah, it's really weird. So
I don't have the stats in front of me, but I've noticed also that the Knicks, when they don't play a like on the first of the back-to-backs, the Knicks shoot so much better and they shoot so much worse on the second game.
Yeah, and they have
Which
another
is not probably
back-to-back.
that uncommon, but
they have another back-to-back at the end of November, and then another one in the middle of December. So lots of back-to-backs.
Lots of back-to-backs. So who we got coming up?
So we have at Boston tomorrow, and then we have at Hawks, at Washington, and at Charlotte. Washington and Charlotte are the back-to-backs again.
Okay. So Boston, revenge game.
Mm-hmm.
Knicks they do actually play better on the road, so I think they're going to beat the Celtics.
And they play the Celtics pretty well.
They do play them. And the Celtics look awesome this season, but I think the Knicks will play better. Knicks should get the win. The Hawks are playing since the Knicks beat the Hawks have been playing a lot better.
Yeah. Better.
Split this 1-1.
That's fair.
Okay, and then they beat the Wizards. Wizards have looked like garbage this season, and we just played Charlotte, and they look like garbage. So 3 in 1 week.
Yeah, 3-1. That would take the Knicks to 8-5. Not bad.
Yeah, the Knicks have to beat Washington, have to beat Charlotte. They have to beat Boston. One of the next 2 games they have to win.
Yeah.
Or they could win 15 in a row. I'd be fine with that. If the Knicks want to win 15 in a row, I am not standing in their way.
Yeah, they have 3 tough ones after that: Minnesota, Miami, and Phoenix. And then they have a nice streak. They get Charlotte, Detroit, back-to-back with Toronto and Utah.
You know what I love? I'm looking at the schedule on ESPN, and they have like you can click on a link for the tickets. And I love how you can figure out what's a home game and what's an away game. You don't have to look at the at or verse.
Yeah,
you just
the
see
price. Yeah.
You see tickets as low as $15. That's an away game. Tickets as low as $171. That's a home game.
It's so depressing.
It is so goddamn annoying how expensive tickets. If tickets were as low as $15, I'd go to 15 games a season.
Yeah,
instead I'm going to go to 2 games, maybe 3 games a season.
During the Isaiah years, they had those $10 nosebleed seats. I used to go all the time.
Yeah, It was great. You could get last minute tickets for like $10. It was awesome.
Oh, Bud Lights weren't $22 either.
Yeah, it's really a great deal going to the Garden.
And I'm not exaggerating. That's how much a Bud Light is now.
It is kind of crazy. But anyway, Knicks are looking awesome. It'll be like I'm in disbelief how well some of these guys are playing, and like, is RJ for real? Is Grimes for real? Is Mitch gonna like keep the optimism is high right now?
It is. This has been brought to you by our most positive episode in 622 episodes.
Things are looking good. I wish Josh Hart would be a little more involved in the offense. I want to see. They're really nothing negative to say. I don't know. Devo could hit a couple extra shots.
Yeah, I mean, anything right now is just nitpicky.
Yeah, I want to see. There was one play where Mitch posted up. I loved it. I want to see more of that. I love I love this team. This is. I have to say, you agree. This is your favorite. Is this your favorite Knicks team?
Since we started the podcast, yes.
Yeah. Since we started the podcast,
and we started the podcast 14 seasons ago.
It's been a while. I mean, the 54 win team was pretty fun. But this team, it's not like, I'm not saying I love this team this season. It's just like it's the same roster every year. It's the same. This version of the team, I love.
The 54-win team you knew wasn't sustainable, and it was a bunch of guys who just came there for the season, so you didn't like have that attachment to them. You're like, Sheed's cool, but he came to the Knicks at like 38 years old, so it wasn't like as exciting as like drafting somebody and watching them like grow.
There's something nice about the fact that now the guys are keep playing together every season. They get they learn to play better with each other.
Yeah, and 4 out of the 9-man rotation are guys Knicks drafted, which is cool.
Right. Like, this season was just about how do we fit in this guy, DiVincenzo? He's the only new guy in the rotation.
Yeah. All right, so I will be in Thailand for the next 2 weeks. Mark may or may not.
How dare you?
Me.
How dare you choose going to Thailand over doing the show?
I know.
You're not going to record from Thailand?
I am going to try and pack my equipment, but I don't think it'll fit.
Okay, that's messed up. That's really messed up, Jay. You're not going to record in Thailand.
I know.
So I will try to do a show while Jay is gone. So at some point I will do a show. But then Jay will be back beginning of December, and the Knicks will be awesome, and we'll do more shows from then on.
Sounds good. So I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Happy trails to bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye.